Brad, you're making me sick.
Feeling dizzy yet?
I was dizzy when I came in here, so this is...
What if I go the other way?
All right,
Does
yeah,
that
you're kind of undoing it,
So I need to, like, wind it all the way back.
Okay, all right.
Not too far.
Oh.
Better?
A little bit. Well...
All right.
But,
All right. Okay. All right. We're looking at Dead Space 3.
Okay.
As you can see, I have played a lot of it.
Yeah, that seems like a significant amount.
And I can confirm that it's a video game.
Okay, let's see it.
It has a beginning, a middle, and an end.
All right, let's see the end. Just skip right to the end.
Actually, that's kind of all I got. So.
Oh, that's
all there is to say.
All right, thanks for watching.
Oh, God. Well, I guess I don't know if it'll matter or not. I forgot to get the. I forgot to download the online pass on this console. Poop.
Shouldn't matter.
I hope it doesn't matter. That's mainly for co-op.
Right.
But
the game's not out yet as we're recording this, so that's...
Yeah, but there's also a number of weapons and a suit tied to that pass.
Well, hey, let's find out.
And I don't know if it'll let me load my save game without that there. Jump into a fairly early part of the game. I really like the way they have this broken up. You know, they've got the chapter select.
Yeah.
You can see exactly how much you've done in each chapter. Down to, like, here's the difficulty levels you've done. You know, have you done missions? Did you get all the logs and stuff?
Okay, to find all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a completionist, it's kind of neat. How about... Oh, I don't know if that's a good one. Yeah, that's... Sure. Yeah, let's go there.
That seems like it's just past the point that I played up to, or right around.
I kind of want to... I already finished it. I kind of want to see what hard is about.
I mean, you know, you're going to be talking and playing.
Try it.
All right, yeah, great.
Well, I've got an in-game character. So the character progress in this game has been fully abstracted from your story progress. I don't remember exactly to what extent they did that in the past. Like, so the previous games had hard saves, you know, like you went to a save terminal and created a save that you could then load at any time.
Yeah.
This game just has a single checkpoint save. You know, the difference is you can load chapters whenever you want.
Right.
But the point is that anything you do in terms of getting weapons and stuff like that carries over no matter what you're doing. So
right. So if you're jumping into someone else's co-op game, you're bringing whatever you got at that point in.
Exactly. I'm actually going to go backwards. Anyway, yeah, the point is my suit is fully upgraded. I've got some pretty baller weapons.
All right.
I'm feeling good. So I want to see what hard is about. I haven't tried it yet. You like the way he runs in 0G? Real big steps, as if his boots are magnetically touching the ground.
It seems like there should be some kind of
kind of stuck to the ground.
With that stuff. But I guess if you're out in space,
I feel like they try to. That was something the first game did that people really thought was cool, was the whole, like, kind of going for the soundlessness and weightlessness feel. So I do like that you can only hear stuff that is, like, sort of physically connected to you, you know?
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah.
Anyway. Let's fly around a little bit. So you have not gotten to the point yet where you are, like, doing a lot of spacewalking.
No, I haven't.
I'm going between ships here.
No.
All right.
So what are you doing out here in space other than running out of air?
Oh, I got plenty of air. We'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, so, like, you know, the 30-second version, Isaac Clarke has been through some shit.
Yes.
He has seen some necromorphs.
I remember some of that stuff.
He's killed a lot of them. He had a needle stuck in his eye.
Yeah, I remember that. That's if there's one thing I remember about Dead Space 2, it was that.
Oh, that was a memorable moment.
It's gross.
It was great. There's a lot of landmines out here. I guess they're not landmines, right?
No, they're space mines.
Anyway, so yeah, like he's been through all that shit, and he has kind of withdrawn. He tried to get away from everything.
Yeah.
So he's tracked down at the beginning of the game by some dudes who are trying to solve this whole thing once and for all. And sort of shoved back into it. Oh, that was a mine. I was hoping to find some stuff out here. Ooh, there's some stuff. Anyway, he gets kind of sucked into this ragtag band of, like, a couple of soldiers and Ellie from the last game and a few other people. And they're, this thing's shooting stuff at me. They basically follow a lead to this planet. which is made of ice, which you know if you have followed any of the marketing for this game.
Ice Planet.
Oh my god.
Found an upgrade circuit.
What? Who is...
It's probably the...
Oh, you dick.
Those guys. They're lobbing it up at you.
Oh my god, man.
Good going.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Mode.
Nice work.
Yeah. Alright, well that'll reset us back here, which is probably a good thing. Anyway, so, I mean, well, you've seen all this. But, you know, they follow a lead to this kind of uncharted planet. And they get into an aspect of the story that was not touched on at all in the marketing that I have seen, which is that, like, basically a big portion of this game actually takes place on this derelict fleet. Like this kind of flotilla of warships that's in orbit around this planet. And I think that is probably the coolest thing in this entire game.
Oop, kicking stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, don't do that.
Freaking out.
But yeah, I mean, these warships have all been here for like 200 years. They're from some old, like, Earth versus its colonies kind of war.
Yeah.
From humanity's history. So they've all just been floating adrift here, and you get this little skiff up and running, and then you can just fly between them. Which I think is really neat.
Yeah.
Like they introduce some non-linearity to kind of the flow of the game.
And this is, they kind of introduce some side missions and stuff like that.
Right. So,
like,
yeah.
hey, go to the ship and do this thing, or don't.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah, some of them are totally optional. You know, you're stranded here, go figure. As soon as you get here, your ship blows up and everything, so you're just kind of stuck here. So, sort of your only hope is to go investigate these ships and figure out what the hell you're going to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, if you're just kind of a bit of a space nerd, it's just real neat to be able to fly between all these ships, and you get out and you can spacewalk. You can fly around the ships and investigate. There's a decent amount of little stuff to find, kind of adrift between the ships. Like you saw that item crate that I just found.
Right. I mean, it seems like there's kind of way more stuff to get in this game, just by virtue of them having a crafting system.
Yeah, I was not sold on the crafting. You can see all that stuff over there.
Tungsten and
semiconductors and scrap metal and blah blah blah.
Ration seals.
You
have a lot of those.
Do you want to just do some crafting?
Sure.
I guess we could craft.
This looks nice out here.
Yeah, I mean, parts of this game look incredible. Right up there with some of the best stuff in the first two games. That tends to taper off as the game goes, as does the quality of just about everything else.
Wow.
I really liked this game for 6 to 8 hours of it, or so. And then
about 12 hours of no thank you.
Things went a little south. We'll get into that. I'll jump to a chapter later on.
Is this the ship you go at the very beginning?
Yeah,
of the
this
game?
is the ship
First,
that you.
okay,
This is the ship you sort of.
this.
Yeah,
okay.
you sort of like crash into here. So out here, you know, doing all this stuff, it's got some of the stuff that makes Dead Space really awesome, with the zero-G.
Yeah.
And all the kind of the kinesis stuff, which I've always found really fun. They get into some cool engineering stuff out here in space, where you got to use your kinesis to move like giant parts around and like, you know, get engines working again.
Right.
And stuff like that. It doesn't necessarily involve combat, which is pretty cool. Do you like my Mass Effect armor?
I ended up putting on the Mass Effect armor as well.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was the best looking of the selections I had.
Of the early stuff, it definitely is. Suits are purely cosmetic in this game, though.
Right. I mean,
I guess
there is an upgrade tree for your rig, but it's not necessarily attached to what you're wearing.
It's universal, which I guess probably a response to the second game. Every suit had like a kind of an inherent advantage.
Right.
But it turned into the World of Warcraft problem of like, you're wearing the suit that has the best buff on it, but it maybe isn't your favorite looking suit.
Yeah.
So you can get around that here, but then, you know, by the same token, hey, new suit, because I beat the game. By the same token, it kind of makes the suit irrelevant, you know? There is a point where these top 3 suits here are like cold resistant, and you have to use one of those when you're on the planet. Here's the suit I got for beating the game. Let's put that on.
It looks like the old Dead Space suit.
Yes. The classic, the legend suit, I guess you could say. Yeah, that looks familiar. I remember that thing.
Sure, why not?
Back when Isaac Clarke didn't talk.
Except to maybe grunt and say,
right.
While stomping on stuff.
Well, yeah. pretty much the extent of his vocabulary before. Yeah. All right.
But he's pretty chatty in this game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you know, they obviously they gave
story. A lot of you.
They gave him a face in the last one, in 2, and you know, there's a story arc. Story in this game's not very good at all.
Right.
At all. I really.
I mean, like, the setup sounds somewhat interesting.
Yes. So the premise,
around
like,
this planet,
explore these ancient warships, figure out what the hell happened here. It was a huge operation. That stuff's really neat. It's more like the moment-to-moment, like the character exchanges, the way the dialogue is written, some of the subplots, just as hammy as it gets. And then I really, really did not care for the way the game wraps up at all. But that's subject to taste. Maybe you'll be more into it. Somehow I doubt it. All right, so here's the crafting. You've seen a bit of the crafting. Let's start a new weapon from the ground up.
Okay.
Again, you know, I've been through the game, so I have collected a bunch of stuff. When you first start out, it feels like a lot of the stuff is pretty unattainable. You know, there's not a lot of materials lying around.
Right.
The requirements for crafting stuff feel astronomical, which feels all the more egregious when this downloadable content prompt is just all over the place.
Right. And anytime you try to build something that you don't have the resources for, it's like, hey, you want to maybe buy some stuff?
You want to throw us $1 and get some parts?
Yeah, and a lot of that broke down to me to figure out, like, you know, okay, how hard is it to get these ration seals? Because you can purchase it with some kind of this in-game currency.
Okay, I didn't even know what those were for.
Yeah.
I never noticed that. All right, well, I have almost 200 of those.
Yeah, you had a lot of them. So,
all right, I guess let's buy some stuff.
All right.
All right, so what do we got here? So the basic resources, these are just sort of generic. You know, you find these lying around, they drop off of enemies. Those are delineated when you were paying money for this stuff. Initially, I thought it was like Mass Effect style, like mystery box.
Right.
And there are mystery boxes in the game, but they only drop off of enemies. So at least you know what you're getting here.
Yeah.
But the weapons that you get...
One supercharged weapon part, 50% chance of the second bonus part.
Yeah, so I guess the weapons you get here are up in the air. Like, you don't know what kind of weapon you're going to get out of these packs.
Right. But then there's a set amount of...
yeah, so...
this one, it's 2 with a 50% chance at a third.
Sure, all right. 60? Wait a minute.
Did you hit the ration seals button?
Oh, I didn't notice there was, sorry. My bad. All right. Sure?
You got an ammo box, an ejection field, and a suspension field.
Okay.
So it's not even weapons, it's just parts.
Are those tips? So they kind of, there's a lot to wrap your head around in this crafting system, and they don't do a great job of differentiating stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there are frames, and there are tools, and there are tips. And like when you're looking at them in a menu, it's hard to tell what's what, or when you pick them up, you know, like, I don't know, is that a tool?
Yeah.
Is that a tip? So you basically have compact and heavy frames.
So kind of the best thing you want here is the one with the most circuits, because that's, you fit upgrades into the circuits, right?
Yes, but typically you can unlock up to 8 on just about everything. So even when it says, well, for the, I don't know if that's the case there. Anyway, let's try a heavy.
But that compact frame has a reload bonus also, right?
Some of them do, yeah.
All right. Well, pick something. Let's build a gun.
Actually, that's not a good one. Let's just go with the heavy.
All right.
So you pick a frame. Each frame can take an upper and a lower tool, and the tool is what determines
what
kind
of
projectile.
Gun it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like what kind of projectile comes. Well, yeah, you're right. Basically, what kind of gun it is, and then the tip is what determines the style of projectile. So, like on a heavy frame, if I put, let's say, a plasma core on the top, that gives me a force gun. But then if I go and change out the tip, the default tip, it's straight up old Dead Space force gun. But a compressor on it is, I guess that, I don't know what the difference is.
Yeah. Between
force gun and kinetic impulse.
Well, it looks like it goes range far on it.
This is, yeah, obviously you get the stat breakdown there.
Yeah.
You know, I've never even tried that. I actually found the weapons I liked and then just kind of kept buffing those throughout most of the game instead of trying different stuff. So instead of...
So you should think of this, I guess, as you're building a primary and a secondary fire, right?
So what they have done is, in the past, you could carry 4 different weapons, and now you can only carry 2 weapons, but you essentially, the alt fire on each weapon becomes one of the old weapons. So you basically still have 4 weapons, but all those weapons had alt fires in the old games.
Right.
Which are now gone. So
Can you still? You can still just get the plasma cutter and rotate it and shoot guys.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
I use that plasma cutter the whole game because it's Dead Space, and that's what you do.
Right.
So let's throw. How about a flamethrower? So then at the bottom, it straight up spells out what you got. Now you have a contact beam with a flamethrower.
Now, what kind of tip can you put on the flamethrower to do different stuff to it?
You can very quickly go and change this out to something else. Like if I change it to Tesla core, you get a Tesla beam. Although if I change that to that, it just turns into the standard line gun.
Right.
Put a repeater.
There's your
there's my new stuff. So that's the thing. It's like, okay, so those were tips. I didn't know those were tips. Looking at that that breakdown in the thing that I bought, but now that I see them here, all right, I don't know what they are. So what is that? Electrified bola. That's all right. That sure, I guess. Supercharged line gun. All right, let's check out that bola. That sounds crazy.
Put a different tip on the flamethrower.
All right. So, standard flamethrower. Looks like more of a concentrated but shorter range flamethrower. Cryogenic. Wow.
Ice.
Wow. Okay. Gee, yeah.
Precision fire is ice. Everyone knows that.
I had never seen them.
And then what is your attachment 2 down there? What is
so attachments are all kinds of stuff. There's a scope.
Okay.
A lot of these are just for co-op, which I think is, it's kind of dumb that these even surface in the single player. Even though, I mean, you can invite somebody anytime.
Well, I mean, you bring your weapons back and forth,
yeah,
so
sure.
it's...
Yeah, I guess you're right.
You'd probably want to know that.
But especially because for the first 4 or 5 hours, all I had were co-op only parts that do nothing for you in single player. But there's a lot of useful stuff. You know, this one keeps you from taking splash damage, which would have been great for the rocket launcher I carried most of the game. You know, that gives you bigger stasis area of effect. You can just kind of slap stuff on at will. And then there's also a lot of elemental buffs, like here's an acid thing. I also have electrical and fire.
Okay, yeah.
So now I have an acid and an acidic electric sticky bowl
Heavy Elite
thing.
Mark 5 supercharged anchored bolas with cryogenic torch.
I'm not done. There's more.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Man, you have a lot of those.
Oh, dude, yeah. You finished it. Well, so I unlocked this giant +3 set by finishing the game. But even before that, I had probably a couple dozen of each type. They start out real basic, just +1 here and there, and then you start getting into like trade-offs of +2, -1, and then you just start straight up getting +2, +2 all over the place. So you can go through here and add. You can also craft those. You just basically go through and buff the weapon out. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on that. And then when you're done, you can generate a blueprint off of it, which you can trade in co-op. And then somebody could take that blueprint and build this purely out of those generic parts without needing all these specific, like, you know, I need this tip and this tool and this frame.
You just need, like, here's how much tungsten you need.
In fact,
and all
like
that
here,
stuff,
I'll just hit Y and it's just boom. Now I have a blueprint.
So you don't even have to build the weapon?
What do you mean?
Did you build that gun?
I just did.
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
But I could have backed out of all that after making the blueprint.
So you could just put it all together, make the blueprint, then not
use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What happens if you disassemble the weapons? Do you get all the parts back?
Yeah. So that is the one saving grace of like when I first saw the the microtransaction part stuff, I was like, oh, this is the worst. But yeah, you can break down any weapon. Like Hammond's shotgun, I built that off of a named frame, basically. But yeah, if you hit dismantle weapon, it just turns it back into parts. So you don't lose anything.
Okay.
As far as I know.
So you can just totally experiment with guns.
As far as I know, you don't lose anything at all for breaking stuff down and remaking it. You can also craft like your basics, just med packs, ammo clips, stuff like that. I want to check out that gun I made. Let's see what that looks like. Oh! That's that scope I put on it.
Yep.
I didn't find the scopes very useful because...
That looks terrible.
Most, and this is...
That's a terrible looking scope view.
Yeah, I know.
Like, hey, it's black out. Anytime there's a scope view that blacks out the rest of the screen, I never use it. I never use it.
The mid scope actually just sort of changes the field of view, just zooms in, but you can see everything, but still, most of the combat in this game, until you start fighting human enemies, which sucks.
I mean, the game opens with that.
Yeah, but then later on, you fight a lot of them, and they're heavily armed. And this game was like Dead Space was not built for human enemies with ranged weapons. Like that's not the best part of the game. Wow. Okay. Weird.
Huh. Oh. I
guess
I didn't realize they would jut out like grenades.
Yeah, that's sort of weird.
Shoot your cryogenic beam. What's that look like?
Huh.
So freeze them and then bola.
Yeah, I guess so. Sure.
Give it a shot.
Here's the thing I rolled with for most of the game. It's a rocket launcher.
That looks all right.
It's a shotgun.
Okay.
It sets stuff on fire when I shoot it,
Sure.
which is pretty great. Yeah, I was real skeptical about the crafting when I first came in, and doubly so because they're selling the parts.
Yeah.
But you get so many parts playing the game that you really are never going to have to buy anything, I don't think. You shouldn't. You should not buy stuff in this game. And you can get, you know, get pretty crazy with like, oh man, you dicks. I was hoping I could roll back in this ship and just fight some guys. But they have prevented that. But yeah, you can make some pretty cool stuff. Although, like I said, I found the exact set of weapons that I like to use, and then never deviated.
Yeah.
I just kept making them better as I got more stuff for them. I guess let's roll back out into the fleet.
Let's find some stuff to shoot.
Yes, I want to shoot some stuff.
So this game, action game, not a horror game, right?
Pretty much. I mean, people have been
Definitely
talking
some spooky stuff.
Yeah,
you know, with
people,
the necromorphs and
like
whatnot.
I feel like that discussion has begun anew recently with this game coming out.
Yeah.
Where the first game was like, you know, pretty inarguably like a more or less pure horror game. And then 2 kind of split the difference. You know, it was like it still had a lot of kind of atmospheric horror stuff, but they also were going for the sort of the Uncharted style set piece. You know, big action stuff.
Yeah, yes.
Anyway,
and people like both those games.
Yeah,
for different reasons.
Yes.
So some people like one more than the other, vice versa.
Right. I think they're both fantastic games. Like you probably would not find a bigger fan of Dead Space than me. But anyway, like it kind of raises the question, like, what is a horror game? You know, what are the things that a horror game needs? But I think probably wherever you fall on that spectrum, this game is not really. It doesn't fit the bill, I don't think.
Do you think the controls are up to the task of?
Yeah.
Of. You know, like you say, fighting humans, ranged weapons, like that sort of combat.
So much.
Is that where it sort of starts to break down?
Yeah, like fighting the necromorphs is pretty much as cool as it always was, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just go back to that big ship that I was on before. Yeah, like the core controls, I've always felt are like best in class in the series, you know? It just feels great to run around and aim, and everything feels real snappy. You know?
But in the types of encounters that they have built for previous Dead Space games,
right? But 90% of this
best in class for that sort of thing,
yeah.
you wouldn't necessarily apply.
So the
like
human,
you know, as someone who plays a fair amount of third-person shooters,
right?
I wouldn't want to take this control scheme into a faster.
Oh, absolutely not.
Game.
But I mean, the key point to make is that like 90% of this game is still fighting necromorphs.
Okay.
It's only toward the very end of the game that they really start laying the humans on.
And at the very beginning, that's
yeah.
I feel like
the prologue. I don't think is.
Someone's probably freaking out, going, "Thanks for telling me about the end of the game." But we're also talking about the very beginning of the game. It's not.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, they've shown human combat in trailers and stuff since they started showing this game.
Yeah.
I don't know why they felt the need for that. Honestly.
You know, at some point, if you're making a third one, what do you do?
I guess
you got to find a next level to take things to.
I will give them this. They tried a lot of new stuff with this. Like,
you know, they've built this weird religion up along the way.
Yeah, and the way that's represented and the way that factors into the story is
I will say that from the
really ham-fisted
3 or so hours I've played of the game, yeah, I didn't necessarily think that was the most elegant way to kind of.
Right. So in 2, like in 1, it was almost unheard of. You barely even knew about it unless you read like codex-y stuff.
Yeah.
2, it factored into the story more, but I felt like they did a good job of keeping the Unitology stuff more or less in the background. Like you kind of ran up against it here and there, but it wasn't the focal point of the story. You know, they maintained a mystery to it.
But it was definitely a factor, and definitely at odds with things that you would like to have happen. Like you know, you're never like sitting there going, maybe this Unitology thing's okay.
Right,
like,
right.
No.
But here it's
Super Bowl ad for Unitology, I have to say, was.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, I was
really out of left field.
Are you clear?
The clearest.
Okay, good. Yeah, the Unitology is just kind of. It feels overrepresented here, and it just kind of plays into the story in a sort of a cheesy way, in the way that they make it provide kind of an antagonistic force for what's going on. Hacking's still here. There's a lot of mini games in this game, like a lot.
Here. It looks like our shuttle's in the aft section of the ship.
Some of them are kind of neat, some not as much.
It'll get us to the nearest shipping lane.
Most of them feel designed for co-op.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So that's one of the things that it seems like they've been saying is that, oh no, you can totally play it alone, and it'll be a different game that adapts based on whether you got a person with you or not. How does that feel? Do you feel like this is a co-op game, even though you've played it alone?
There are, I mean, it totally works as a single-player game. You don't feel like you're missing anything.
Yeah, go play the pinball machine.
How do you like that? Did that get you?
Like, did I jump?
Yeah.
No.
Oh. You can't play it. Missed opportunity. I think that's a huge missed opportunity. You're definitely not going to miss anything by playing it by yourself. In fact, I would recommend playing it by yourself. It's not stuff that detracts, but it's just like it sort of takes you out of the experience every time you get to like. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Switch to your new gun. How's that thing work?
I'm just gonna waltz through this, aren't I? With my
shoot some electrified bolas.
Oh, I should have taken the scope off of there. It's gonna be such. Oh man, it's both electric and acidic. See, it's zapping them, but then they're getting all acidy. Oh, that's great. Yeah, I officially think the crafting is all right.
And it's unified ammo, right?
Yeah, so there's only one ammo type, which
Does that ever become an issue where you're like, oh, you ran out of one type of ammo, and that means you're out of all types of ammo? Or is it okay?
I had to craft ammo a couple times.
Yeah.
But then, as soon as I remembered, this is the type of game where if you fire one shot and then reload, you lose the entire clip.
Oh God, really?
Yeah.
I just forgot all about that.
And as soon as I realized that,
you stopped reloading.
I stopped reloading every time I got out of
That's
combat.
funny because I've been reloading like crazy, and you're like,
totally.
man, I don't have a lot of ammo.
Exact same thing. And as soon as I stopped doing that, this is a 20. Each one of these is a 20 stack of clips.
Yeah.
And I would typically, once I stopped doing that, I would have at least an entire row full of these.
Yeah.
So ammo definitely not a problem.
Okay.
Once I got my head around that. Anyway, the point I was trying to make about the co-op was simply that, like, anytime you get to like a vehicle sequence or anything where you need to like interact with the environment to get through something, there are always two of them. Like a lot of the little co-op, like hacking minigame puzzles. Or a lot of those puzzles are co-op style, like clearly made for two people to be interacting with them.
Right.
So you just have to do both parts yourself if you're by yourself. Like they didn't. I have actually, at the time of this recording, I have not played co-op. I still need to get into that before the review.
Yeah.
But there are definitely parts where it just feels like they didn't bother to redesign stuff around single player.
Yeah, yeah.
And that goes for the story too. There are a whole lot of parts where we haven't seen the co-op buddy here, who's like total just like meathead soldier bro. Like has no time for you. It's
way
like,
into your Mass Effect armor.
He's all just like, I'm not your friend. Let's just go. Let's get this done. Kind of stuff.
What
he shows up at just like the weirdest times in the story. Like, why are you here? What purpose do you serve? I'm like flying through the air right now, fighting this giant monster. Why are you over on a ledge, like radioing to me what to do to the boss?
Weird.
It's really weird.
What was the scavenger bot you just picked up?
Here's the scavenger bot.
Okay.
I was hoping it would give me a fourth one, but that was a little scripted. You found your first scavenger bot, but you didn't give it to me. So that is the main way you get resources in this game. A lot of the stuff, like, okay, semiconductor, scrap metal, obviously, the somatic gel, like, those are very common, because I have a ton of them. Tungsten and ration seals. Ration seals, I think you can only get through the bot, and tungsten primarily through the bot. And all you do is, it's a third equip here. And when you hear that little pulse, hear that?
Yeah.
When you hear that, whip out your bot, and you get this little radar. Then you go hunting. Oh, there it is. Then use it. I thought that was kind of neat at first. I was like, it's like a scavenger hunt, I was like, I need some stuff. I'll send Robo Buddy out.
And then you just get a
Find
bunch
some
of
things.
stuff, or how's this? What's going on here?
What's going on is 10-minute timer.
Oh, yeah!
So 10 minutes from now, he'll be
Give us $1.99 for a coin doubler.
Yeah, so I don't know what the personality pack, maybe it's just
Bot modifications
skins.
are available as downloadable content, by the way.
You can't even get them in the game as far as I know. I think you have to buy them. So there's a pack up right now that includes like a suit and 2 weapons and the accelerator, which I have to imagine just drops that 10 minutes to something shorter.
Coin doubler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Great.
Get your bots back faster, but you still have to go to a bench to retrieve them. So if you're between benches and all your bots are out, you can't use them again. So it's almost like the shortened timer would be irrelevant because you still have to
go back and
get to a place to retrieve them and put them back out again. Personality pack, I'm guessing, is like skins and capacity. They would bring more stuff back. Those are not even for sale that as far as I have seen.
Yet.
But at a point, I don't know why you would need any of that stuff because, like I said, I've got way more resources now than I ever needed. Hello. Oh,
Try freezing that guy. Yeah, walked into your own thing.
Yeah. We should
try the alt fire on your new thing.
I
want
to take the scope.
Yeah, that's...
I've got to take the scope off.
So is it as easy as going and modifying a weapon and taking the scope off, or do you have to go back to the blueprint and rebuild it?
Once you... Oh, I cannot use that thing. I just can't.
Right.
Oh, it's terrible. Let's see. Oh, somebody else? Oh, come here, you. Dealt with. Actually, weirdly enough, despite having marathoned this game all weekend and not liking a lot of the stuff about it, I still want to keep playing it. Like, I want to... Oh, God.
Is it because of the crafting and that sort of stuff?
The crafting
you just feel like you want to get all this stuff? Or
yeah, I'll show you
the loot aspect almost.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, this would play a lot better at the main screen. Oh no, they show you everything here. Okay, so they are super specific about showing you everything you've gotten.
Right.
There are 10 missions, side missions, but 3 of them are co-op only, so I need to still play those. But you can see everything you're going to unlock.
Yeah.
Like, there's some new frames, there's another suit, just for doing all the side missions. If you get all the artifacts, you get some other stuff, different suit, different tips. Basically, every set of things there is to collect or complete, you're going to get some stuff out of it.
Yeah.
A bunch of suits. And, like, just kind of the completionist instinct kicks in when I see that stuff, and I'm like, I really like the combat in this game. I want to keep playing it to beat the harder difficulties. And then there's also a lot of, they're like 4 kind of quirky difficulty modes in addition to the 4 regular hard ones.
Yeah.
We can look at those real briefly. There's a ton of stuff to do just playing the game, notwithstanding issues I have with the story.
Yeah, it seems like it's, you know,
the co-op and
gameplay.
Stuff like
they've made a Dead Space game. The changes sound at least interesting.
So they did not rest on their laurels. You know, they did not pull an Uncharted 3 and just make another Uncharted. Like crafting is new, the co-op is new, the non-linearity is new.
But with those risks comes some new downsides.
They certainly did not fully execute on every front, and also, like, there's a ton of filler in this game. Like the spaceship part that we're in now, that you're on right now, easily my favorite part of the game. Had fun flying between the ships.
It starts with the best stuff, and then
goes
downhill from there.
Absolutely front-loaded with the best stuff. The ice planet is over. Oh, get off me.
So
Ice Planet definitely well over half the game, and just like so repetitive. Like there is literal copy and paste level design going on in this game egregiously.
Halo library style.
Like not quite that bad, but there are definitely specific rooms that you will see over and over in this game, and it's just really disappointing. To be fair, they're almost all in the side missions, which I did all of because I just needed to see everything for the review, and B, you get a lot of weapon parts, like pretty much every...
It seems like you would want to do ideally, you'd want to do all the side stuff.
Definitely, because, every... where'd that one go? I hate these guys, they make new enemies. Shoot them in the butt. Can't get up. Like, literally every side mission ends with one of those giant item crates, like you saw that I found outside on that ship. So you get a ton of stuff out of doing them, but at a point, the ones out here on the ships, like everything else, like I said, on the ships, are pretty good. They have some story included. Like, you get some insight into what happened here and who the people were and stuff like that. But then the ones, for whatever reason, the ones you start doing down on the planet just start getting super samey to the point that you're seeing the same level design over and over.
Bummer.
There's next to no story in them. You do come out, like I said, with some pretty good weapons and items and stuff.
Yeah.
But
Guys,
so
I would say only do as many of the side missions as you are interested in doing, and once you get bored of them, stop, because they add very little to the story toward the end. And they feel like they just pad out the game length, and not in a good way.
It's too bad.
Yeah, I like the game. It's not a bad game by any means. I think it's just that those first 2 games were so good.
Yeah.
Like easily two of my favorite games of this generation. And there's just I don't know. I don't know anything about the factors of this game's development. You know, who worked on it or whatever went on, but it just feels like there's like some of the mechanical systems that they've added are kind of neat, but like just in terms of the level to level design of the game, you know, what you're doing,
yeah,
the kind of unique scenarios that they created, like this is awesome. Like just, you know,
yeah,
big room, blast shield opening, like great view of space. Really cool,
like good lighting,
cool use of lighting.
Yeah.
Like a lot of that stuff is really front-loaded. Like I said in the game when you're on these ships. Use a bench whenever you see one, just to dump all your parts off, because they, like the frames and all the circuits, take up slots until you use a bench, and then they go off into the ether.
Okay.
So you free up your inventory.
And do you ever need to like sell parts for currency or?
You can. No, not raw parts. You can only sell consumables. So you can sell health, stasis, ammo, stuff like that for the raw mats. But not like weapon parts. Just go back into a pool that you can craft from. So here's one of the many. It's one of the many like co-op style, like, right?
So it feels
looks like 2 people would probably. I don't know for sure. Maybe you do this by yourself, regardless. But sure seems like something that 2 people would do together, right?
Yeah.
Is that gonna fit? How's this go? There we go. You see how that works?
Hooray!
Yeah.
Great. What are you doing?
You're clearing.
Oh, you're clearing it.
Clearing cargo off of the tracks so that this, so you can get on that tram and go to a different part of the ship. If you keep playing this game, you'll do this soon. Are those already lined up? Great. Do you want to see the ice planet real quick?
Real quick, yeah. I mean, let's you know, as long as we're not showing too much.
Oh no, I mean, you get down to the ice planet pretty early in the game. Sorry if anybody considers that a spoiler. I feel like.
They've been
fairly widely known.
They've been pretty upfront about.
There's totally a dude hanging out in that crate.
Containment breach detected. Biological anomalies are present.
Monster encounters in this game, I feel like, case in point. Like, just about any time you throw a switch, or complete a puzzle, or call an elevator, just about anything.
Guarantee that there's going to be a wave of dudes.
Guarantee that these vents are going to erupt in monsters.
Monster vents.
Like
the producer of Monster Closet.
It really does start to feel like sort of one step up from the Doom 3 monster closets.
Are you? Okay, never mind. I couldn't tell for a sec there if you were all the way out of health or all the way full on health.
Oh, all good.
Just wasn't glowing brightly enough.
Well, good. And I bet, you know, some people could probably successfully argue that it's always been that way in the series, but for whatever reason, either it's more egregious here, or it just finally caught up to me to where I felt like I was just noticing it all the time.
It definitely feels like it's...
But I want to say...
You know,
but they still get you once in a while. Like, I definitely, you know, they would still make me jump here and there. I personally want to feel like it's just a little bit worse here, you know? Like, I feel like maybe the way the encounters are designed is maybe just a little more generic here.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a little more creativity to it in the last game. I think Dead Space 2 is one of the best games of this generation by far.
I'd probably agree with that. One of. wouldn't say the best.
Oh,
but
no. You know, top 20 or something.
you just hit continue from last save.
I know, but I just I decided that while we're here, because we won't want to go back to a menu later. So here's all the other stuff you can do once you beat the game. New Game Plus is just... So basically you're going to find better parts and circuits, but it's the same game.
Yeah.
Any difficulty level. Classic is kind of neat. It's basically Dead Space 1, where you can only use the classic weapons. You have to build them by blueprints, no co-op. I'm not sure what classic aiming is. Maybe no aim assist. And then I'd like to see what the Devil Horns are. I'll probably never play through that mode. That's totally crazy, obviously.
No health, no... Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, have to craft everything, get some pretty cool stuff out of it. This one is nuts. It's not quite the same as hardcore from the last game, where you can only save 3 times.
Yeah.
You can save whenever you want here, but if you die at all, you're done. Ever. Like...
Even if you saved,
yeah.
like it just wipes your save.
So like
okay.
Dead Space 2, you know, you had those 3 saves, so
Right.
you could at least roll back to the
Yeah.
most recent save. Like here,
You can technically save and walk away from it.
you can play it. Yeah, you can play as piecemeal as you
Yeah.
want, but don't die,
Don't
or
die.
you're done. And I really want to see what retro mode looks like. They describe it as some kind of 8-bit styled mode.
Yeah.
That could be either really cool or really half-assed. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I would love to know what it looks like. All right, we'll do some real quick Ice Planet, and I guess call it a quick look. What should we do? I guess, you know, like, sort of avert your eyes if you don't want to see this stuff, but it's, you know, it's not hard to predict.
Just go to that optional mission that's on 9.
That is an interior mission.
Okay.
If you want to see what the ice planet
Yeah.
looks like.
Let's see.
Oh, I think that's let's hop into this one. Oh! Had a feeling that was coming.
2 discs on the Xbox.
Yeah.
1 on a PlayStation.
Correct.
0 on a PC.
Yeah.
Haven't seen the PC version.
No, they didn't. They didn't send out Origin vouchers beforehand for that. Visceral was out in the news, straight up saying, "Hey, the PC version is just the console versions. Like, no new high-res textures, no DirectX 11 support.
So just, you know, probably higher resolution.
Higher res, higher frame rate, but that's about it. So, I would say
That's not too far off from many PC
no.
ports, really.
You know, it's not the end of the world, but you know, in a world where like Sleeping Dogs and stuff
Yeah.
like that exists, it's a
It'd be
little
nice
bit.
to see something a little more.
A little unfortunate. Oh man, is this another interior? Let's see if I wonder if I could just... Oh! I don't even know where we're going here. Let me see if I can find some snow real quick.
About time.
Nah.
Cutscene stuff, don't watch. I mean, whatever, these characters are all in the game from the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, starting to feel like a lot of the drama is really hammy in this game.
What the hell does that mean?
It means
It wasn't great in the last game, they just didn't do a lot of it, you know?
We need him.
Wish I could skip this.
Mission needs him.
we need him or you need him.
I skip. Nope.
You got something to say to me, Captain?
Stop. Just stop.
You know, like a lot of the tension feels kind of manufactured. Character motivations are sort of all over the place.
Yeah. Does anyone
I
get...
know how to find it.
Is there an equivalent moment to the eye stuff from Dead Space 2?
Like a singular, just
Like a singular thing of like, oh my fucking god, like, you know, and so there's something like that?
Well, I think if
No.
we repeat it,
Okay.
we can
nothing
do
that I
the
can think
same.
of that's, yeah, nothing with that kind of impact. He does make, there's one really good quip about that scene,
You change the scene.
but that's basically it. There's some neat stuff as the story goes along. Like, they get into some cool stuff with the fiction. That's your co-op buddy. They get into some cool stuff with the fiction, but then it sort of peters out, and there's just, I don't know. I really didn't like the way that the whole thing resolved. Let's see, I think this should get me out into some snow.
Hey,
Exterior access.
Yep,
Isaac.
let's go that way.
Isaac, we're just outside.
Yeah, and we're freezing. Hurry your ass up.
Alright, alright. It looks great.
Yeah.
Like, I mean... There's
And
not
actually, the very beginning of the game is outside in the snow as well.
Oh, that's right, yeah, there's a little prologue sequence. Oh, you know what? Let's just call it. What do you say?
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to trigger a cutscene here.
Yeah, let's not.
I couldn't remember where this was in the game, but it's what the snow looks like.
Fight similar type of enemies out here that you fight indoors?
Yeah, there are a few, a couple of new types of enemies, but it's mostly stuff from 2. And like the enemy selection is really weird in this game because like some of the enemies from the last game show up like 3 or 4 times over the course of the game, and that's it.
Weird.
But
did you find Peng?
not yet.
All right.
Looking for it, but
keep looking.
But
Shoot down the deer head and get that achievement.
oh, is that what that was?
Yep.
I saw you had a secret achievement, and it was killing me not knowing what it was.
Yep.
Now I know. Yeah,
Alright.
I think like if you're at all invested in Dead Space, like you should play this, just see how it all ends.
Well, ends?
Well, I
meaning, do you think there will be a Dead Space 4?
There's definitely room for more Dead Space.
Okay.
But they straight out said before this game came out, like, hey, this is a trilogy. This is the 3rd game of this story arc.
All right.
So there is certainly resolution to this storyline.
Okay. Well, that's that's probably enough for me, even if some of the stuff doesn't necessarily develop in the direction that I would want it to.
I kind of can't wait for people to finish it just to discuss the ending. Like I feel like I don't want to open this can of worms. But
yeah, no, the one thing you showed me that the one thing you told me about late game things sounds real dumb.
I feel like there are some shades of another EA release that may come up. I don't know.
Great.
See how that stuff's received.
Yeah.
Looking forward to people finishing this game so we can talk about it.
Yeah. Okay.
But it still plays great. I still love like shooting the limbs off of stuff and stomping it into pieces. Still feels great. It's fun to make new weapons.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good action and really nice environments and stuff. I just it just doesn't feel like they executed to their utmost on every level like they did with the last couple games.
Yeah. Okay.
But still definitely worth playing if you're a Dead Space fan.
All right. Well, review forthcoming
Yes.
or up alongside this
Yep.
or in the works or
Right around there.
Right
yeah.
around here.
If it's not up, it'll be up in a few hours.
Yeah. So thanks, Brad.
Yep.